Welcome to my channel. Support our channel by subscribing. Your subscription helps us grow and create more intriguing content like this. Now, let's dive into today's story. Title: Caught in the Act. The hilarious day my wife took over my guilty pleasure. It was a sunny Saturday morning, the kind of morning where everything feels possible. Birds were chirping outside, sunlight poured through the kitchen window, and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air. Ethan stood in the kitchen, expertly balancing a tray with 2 plates of pancakes topped with strawberries and whipped cream. He had a plan. A breakfast-in-bed surprise for Lila, his wife. With a smug grin, he thought about how impressed she'd be. Lila, his ever-practical wife, often teased him for his romantic gestures, but secretly Ethan knew she loved them. He tiptoed up the stairs, careful not to make the old wooden steps creak. As he approached their bedroom, he heard something strange. It was faint at first, but as he got closer, the sound became clearer. Laughter. High-pitched, overly dramatic laughter, followed by gasps, cheers, and even a groan of frustration. Confused, Ethan paused. Was Lila on a call with one of her friends? He tilted his head, trying to make sense of the noise. And then he heard it, the unmistakable theme song of Ultimate Bake-Off Drama, blaring from their TV. His eyes widened in disbelief. This couldn't be happening. Lila had always rolled her eyes at his love for reality TV shows, especially ones as over-the-top as Bake-Off Drama. She'd call them frivolous and predictable, insisting she preferred documentaries or heartfelt indie films. Ethan couldn't believe his ears. Balancing the tray with one hand, he slowly pushed the bedroom door open with the other. What he saw nearly made him drop the tray. There was Lila, sitting cross-legged in bed, still in her cozy flannel pajamas, completely absorbed in the screen. Her hair was tied up in a messy bun, and she held a mug of tea in one hand while the other gestured wildly at the TV. "No, no, no, you're over-whipping the cream, it's going to split," she shouted at the screen, as though the contestants could hear her. Ethan's jaw dropped. Not only was Lila watching his favorite guilty pleasure show, but she was fully invested. "Lila!" Ethan exclaimed, stepping into the room. She froze, her eyes darting from the screen to him. For a moment, they just stared at each other. Then, with the guiltiest smile he'd ever seen, Lila said, "I can explain." But before she could say another word, they both burst into uncontrollable laughter. Ethan set the breakfast tray down on the bedside table and crossed his arms, his expression mock stern. "So, this is what you do when I'm not around? Secretly binge my favorite guilty pleasure?" he teased. Lila's cheeks flushed, but she couldn't wipe the grin off her face. Okay, you caught me," she admitted, raising her hands in surrender. "But in my defense, it's really addictive." Ethan plopped down on the bed beside her, still shaking his head in disbelief. "Addictive? This is the same show you've been making fun of me for years. You said it was trashy and predictable," he said, feigning outrage. Lila laughed, nudging him playfully. "I'm not proud of it, okay? But once I started watching, I just couldn't stop." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "And how exactly did you start watching?" Lila's face turned even redder. "Fine," she sighed. "It was a couple of weeks ago. You fell asleep early after your work meeting and I couldn't sleep. I was scrolling through the TV and I saw the first episode. I thought, I'll just watch a few minutes. But then, well, one episode turned into 4. Ethan stared at her in disbelief. 4 episodes? On the first night? Lila nodded sheepishly, and Ethan couldn't help but laugh. "You're unbelievable." Lila shrugged. "It's not my fault. The editing is so dramatic, and the contestants are so chaotic. Did you see that guy who tried to bake a 6-tier cake but used salt instead of sugar? I mean, come on, how could I not keep watching?" Ethan's laughter grew louder. "Oh, I remember him. He's a legend. The two of them spent the next few minutes recounting their favorite moments from the show, their voices overlapping in excitement. It was the first time Ethan had seen Lila this animated about something so lighthearted, and he found it utterly endearing. Lila leaned back against the pillows, her expression thoughtful. "You know," she began, "I always thought these kinds of shows were just silly fluff. But now I get why you love them. It's not just about the drama or the baking disasters. It's comforting, like a warm blanket after a long day." Ethan leaned in closer, his curiosity piqued. "Comforting? That's not a word I'd expect you to use for a show you called ridiculous baking nonsense." Lila smirked, tossing a pillow at him. "Don't rub it in. But seriously, there's something therapeutic about it. Watching these people mess up, then get back up and create these incredible cakes or pastries. It's inspiring in a weird way." Ethan chuckled. "See? That's the magic. It's like watching a soap opera, but with more sugar and less heartbreak." He paused, studying her face. "But why the sudden change? You've never been the reality TV type." Lila hesitated, biting her lip. "Well, I guess I've been feeling kind of stressed lately. Work's been insane, and everything just feels so serious all the time. I needed something to take my mind off it, and your silly little show did the trick." Ethan's expression softened. "Lila, you should have told me you were feeling that way. We could have figured something out together." She gave him a small, grateful smile. "I know. I guess I didn't want to worry you. But hey, I'm here now, fully converted to the world of baking chaos." Ethan grinned, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "You know what this means, right? You're officially a member of the Ultimate Bake-Off Drama Fan Club. No turning back now." "Oh no," Lila groaned, covering her face with her hands. "What have I done?" Ethan laughed, pulling her closer. "Don't fight it. Embrace the chaos." For the rest of the day, Ethan and Lila stayed in bed, binge-watching the show together. The curtains stayed drawn, the tray of now cold pancakes sat untouched, and time seemed to melt away. They laughed at the contestants' over-the-top personalities, cheered for their favorites, and groaned at the inevitable baking disasters. Even Charlie, their golden retriever, got in on the action. He curled up at the foot of the bed, occasionally perking up his ears and barking whenever the contestants' arguments grew especially heated. Lila reached down to scratch his head. "Even Charlie thinks this show is chaotic," she said with a laugh. At one point, Ethan turned to Lila with a mischievous glint in his eye. "You know, we could totally do this." Lila raised an eyebrow. "Do what? Join a baking competition?" "Why not?" Ethan said, sitting up straighter. "We'd make a great team. I'd handle the creative side, and you could supervise." Lila gasped in mock offense. "Supervise? Wow, such faith in my baking skills." Ethan smirked. "Hey, someone needs to keep me from accidentally using salt instead of sugar." She laughed, throwing a pillow at him. "Fine, but only if I get to wear the chef's hat." "Deal," Ethan said, pulling her into a hug. "Team Bake-Off is officially in business." As the credits rolled on the season finale, Lila let out a dramatic sigh. "Well, Ethan, I guess this is our thing now." Ethan laughed, pulling her close. "Finally, welcome to the dark side." Just then, Charlie, ever the opportunist, knocked over the remote with his paw, accidentally starting a new season. The opening theme song blared through the room, and Ethan and Lila exchanged a look. For a moment, they both sat there, frozen. Then, as if on cue, they burst into laughter. "Well," Lila said, settling back against the pillows, "I guess one more episode won't hurt." "Or a whole season," Ethan added with a grin. And so their guilty pleasure adventures continued, with Charlie happily wagging his tail at the foot of the bed, ready for whatever baking chaos came next. And that, my friends, is how Lila and I discovered that even guilty pleasures can bring people closer. Let me know in the comments. What's your guilty pleasure, and have you ever caught someone enjoying it too? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more fun, relatable stories. Thanks so much for watching, and I can't wait to chat with you in the next one.